Can a woodpecker just keep going until the tree falls? I mean, it's not a beaver, right? And yet these strange birds can do that. It takes a woodpecker 3 to 6 weeks to peck a hole in a trunk, depending on the tree it plans to live in. To work for that long, you have to be very patient. And sometimes woodpeckers have too much patience, but a poor choice of a tree. If a woodpecker starts to work with a very old and dry tree, or on the opposite, with a young and thin one, it may go too far. But why don't they stop? How can you not notice the tree is about to fall? Well, if you've been hammering on trees and other surfaces for your entire life, it's easy to get a little confused. And when I say entire life, I mean it. First of all, this is how woodpeckers get food. Many insects, as well as their eggs and larvae, hide underneath the bark, and pecking into a tree helps the woodpecker find its dinner. And then they grab it with a long tongue. Seriously, woodpeckers could almost rival anteaters in this regard. Other important goals are to attract a mate, establish a territory, and build a nesting site. No wonder woodpeckers keep hammering all the time. Okay, kids, you need to get some food first. Now you need to find a girlfriend. There's still a nest to be built. Now you need to find a new tree. But the most interesting thing is that it seems like woodpeckers just can't stop sometimes. Though it's not like that time when you ate the whole packet of chips, although you didn't even want to open it. Things are more serious here. On the internet, I discovered that some woodpeckers can go crazy during the mating season due to hormonal disruption. All they have to do is keep drumming to attract the female. But the males go on until they die of exhaustion. I hope this is some kind of exception to the rule, a special case, or someone has plenty of imagination. And this is the most ordinary woodpecker who had Red Bull. Okay. Energy drinks had nothing to do with that. It's just a pileated woodpecker. The length of its body reaches 1.6 feet. And a big woodpecker needs a big hole. Maybe there were lots of insects in this tree. Wouldn't want to waste any of them. But if you think about it, that's a lot of work. Even the toughest beavers would be glad to have a pileated woodpecker on their team. With skills like that, you can build a dam even across the English Channel. Though, how do woodpeckers keep their beaks sharp? That is, you need to sharpen any axe, and actually any blade from time to time, and this is metal we're talking about. A regular kitchen knife should be sharpened about once every 8 weeks. Some materials require sharpening every 3 weeks in general. It all depends on how sharp the tool you need. If you're a wolverine, you can probably do without it. But woodpeckers do not have adamantium beaks, so how do they manage? What? To prevent woodpeckers from having to invent sharpening stones or something similar to manicure tools, nature made their beaks self-sharpening. Each new peck on the tree both grinds and sharpens the beak. Doesn't seem logical to you? Woodpeckers have been living like this for 25 million years and feel great. This is because the beaks of woodpeckers keep growing throughout their life, just like the teeth of the beavers, which I've already mentioned. But while some poor beaver can still lose the ability to dull down its teeth and then grow fangs like a saber-toothed cat, this won't work for woodpeckers. Their life is literally all about hammering their beaks on different surfaces. Of course, due to the constant contact with trees, the beak gradually becomes dull, but then it simply grows back. This makes the beak look more like human nails than teeth. Nature only provides 2 sets of the latter. And then I thought, if woodpeckers have been pecking into trees with their beaks for millions of years, have learned to sharpen them without any help, then perhaps they've also upgraded the power of their hammering to unseen levels. You have to admit, they had plenty of time and opportunities. So maybe the woodpeckers are so tough they can, crack the shell of a turtle? Unfortunately, or maybe for the best, these birds do not feed on turtles, so one can only guess. So who can crack the turtle shell? An alligator, but it'll take it a long time and a lot of strength to do that. Even a 15-minute long attack sometimes fails, because the predator just gives up. Oh, to hell with that. I hate snacks in these fancy packaging. But the alligator presses the turtle rather than delivering a quick, accurate blow. Maybe woodpeckers still have a chance. By the way, even a car cannot crack the turtle shell. In 2016, in Florida, a car ran into a turtle, propelling it back right into the car driving behind. The turtle broke through the windshield, bounced off the passenger seat, landed on the dashboard, and survived. It wasn't even injured. And later it was released back into the wild. Well, in my opinion, the woodpecker has no chance. Moreover, these birds sometimes prefer iron over turtles. Certainly not as food, although I'm no longer surprised by anything. However, woodpeckers love metal surfaces because they can create a very, very loud noise hitting them. Woodpeckers love loud sounds. With their help, these birds claim their right to a certain territory, and the more noise they make, the stronger they seem to other woodpeckers, especially to females. They say that one woodpecker was so carried away, it even used a metal loudspeaker at the racetrack for its own purposes. Well, who's the boss now, huh? Woodpeckers must be having a splitting headache from this lifestyle. Just imagine, not only are you constantly surrounded by repetitive noise, you're also the one generating it, by banging your own head no less. Just thinking about it might give you a migraine. Also, woodpeckers move very fast and stop just as quickly when they peck. It's like a racing car that accelerates, then stops right after hitting a wall, and then repeats it all over and over and over again. The impact is so great that a human would die on the spot if he tried it. Here are some figures to make it clearer. G-force is a unitless value. However, it's often specified in units of standard gravitational acceleration, i.e. G. A woodpecker hammering on a tree experiences approximately 1400 G. Meanwhile, humans can handle about 8 G of continuous impulse before blacking out eventually. A sudden force of 50 G will lead to the detachment of most of our organs, and they'll all mix, and in short, not the best condition for survival. To date, the person who has withstood the greatest G-forces is John Stapp, aka the fastest man on Earth. In 1954, he reached a speed of 632 miles per hour, which is still considered a land speed record. The overload during the experiment was 46.2 G, which is quite close to lethal. But if we humans cannot withstand even smaller forces, how do woodpeckers handle them all the time and survive? Well, first of all, woodpeckers have a very small brain, which means they're less likely to damage it. Secondly, the brain fits tightly inside the skull. That is, it doesn't wobble back and forth when the bird cosplays a jackhammer. In addition, the outside of a woodpecker's skull is made of dense bone, while the inside is more porous. This way, when pecking, the force is distributed all around the skull, keeping the pressure off the brain. To protect the eyes from the wood chips, a thick nictitating membrane closes a millisecond before the bird hits the tree. By the way, the same membrane keeps their eyes from falling out. But nature did not stop there. Woodpeckers also have a bone in their tongue which helps extract insects from trees. The unusual tongue wraps around the back of the skull and anchors at the front between the eyes. This configuration lets the tongue and its bone act as a spring, dampening the physical force and related vibrations. So we can say that woodpeckers hold their brain with their tongues? Nature, you are weird. Well, as usual, scientists are not sure that woodpeckers' lifestyle has no consequences for their brain at all. But judging by the fact that woodpeckers have survived for millions of years, they're doing fine. The same cannot be said about a human who suffers from frequent concussions. Repetitive traumatic brain injury ultimately causes brain disease, and it's irreversible. The disorder causes issues with memory and thinking, depression, aggressive behavior, and may result in dementia. The exact number of injuries required for this condition is unknown. But considering all the symptoms, I don't really want to check. Woodpeckers are really lucky that evolution has given them a way to avoid such consequences, but do you know who suffers from their hammering? Trees. You've seen that sometimes woodpeckers get too carried away, and sometimes live trees become their victims. Healthy trees can withstand minor damage from woodpeckers unless the trunks or branches become girdled. This is rare and usually happens when trees come into contact with certain species of woodpeckers. Among them is the pileated woodpecker, which sometimes gets too carried away when searching for insects. Well, you get the idea. The good news is that trees can recover, but it's drastically different from how a human body heals its wounds.
Grow those back.
Trees can't replace or repair damaged tissue, instead trying to isolate damaged tissue from healthy and living ones. Let's just say they slap a large wooden band-aid on the wound to keep insects out and keep growing until the next woodpecker arrives. See you later.